Welcome to the Word of Truth. This is Teacher D.H. Boone. Today's message is called, Is It Worth It? You have to look over your life and you have to ask yourself, the things that you have done in the place that you are now, if it's a place that you don't like and you're not where you want to be, you have to ask yourself, was it worth the things that you did to get you to where you are? We all have to take inventory over our life, and we have to realize whatever we put in, that's what we're going to get out. Whatever we sow, that's what we're going to reap. So you have to ask yourself, before you make a decision, is it worth it? Is it going to get you to the expected result? Is it going to be temporary, or is it going to be lasting? A lot of times people like to get a temporary fix that will last a lifetime, will give them a lifetime of hurt, instead of being patient and wait upon the Lord. And you have to realize is that sometimes we have to make some hard decisions, and you have to work hard to get what you want, and you have to discipline yourself, and you have to say, now if I wait upon the Lord, if I discipline myself, if I do this the right way, then I know I'm going to get a good result. You have to ask yourself, anytime the enemy come to you, see, the enemy is here to kill, steal, and destroy. The enemy wants you to get quick fixes. He wants you to do some things. He wants you to say, I want more. He don't want you to be satisfied. He wants you to be greedy. He wants you to lust after things instead of waiting upon the Lord. See, God say, my people perish because lack of knowledge. A lot of times people fall into a rut because they don't want to listen. God said that, hey, if you believe it, you shall receive it. And God said, those who put their hand to the plow and looking back is not fit for the kingdom. When God deliver you from something, he deliver you for a reason, and he tell you don't look back. He tell you to keep moving forward, because he said, I'm going to do a new thing when I tell you so. I'm going to do a new thing, so forget the old thing. When it spring forth, I will tell you so. So when God trying to do a new thing in you, you can't keep doing the old thing, because it's not worth it. If you keep doing the old thing, you're going to keep getting the old result. If you see yourself keep going around and around, you ended up at the same spot. That means you've been doing stuff that you shouldn't. You have to ask yourself, you have to take inventory, and you have to really realize that the things that you invest in yourself, you can't blame nobody but you. Whatever things that we decide to do, that's the meat that we work towards. And God said in his word that the workman is worthy of his meat. So that means that you are worthy to get the meat from your labor. And it could be good or bad. And see, that's what we have to realize. A lot of times people realize that if they don't realize that if they so bad, that's what they're going to get. They think that just because they doing some illegal things and they getting away for it right now, temporarily, that it's going to last forever. They're going to keep doing it. But Jesus said, in the end, he said, every knee shall bow. So if God have rules, that means that the things that's against his word, against his statutes, and against his commandments is not going to last. So that's why before you step into an illegal thing and things against God, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is you worth trading your life and your soul for a temporary fix for the things of this world? Just think about it. When you go to the grocery store, and when you get food, you want to make sure it's worth it. Whatever you spend on the food, you want good quality food. You don't want no food that's spoiled. You don't want no food that expire. You want to make sure you getting what you're paying for. Well, see, people, they want to invest in food. They want to invest in houses. They want to invest in cars and jewelry, but they don't want to invest in their spirit. God say, build your treasures in heaven where it won't spoil, where the thief can't come in and steal it. See, a lot of times you have to realize that not only is it's good to invest in material things, but you have to invest in your spiritual man, your mental man. You have to make sure that you get your mind renewed and your heart transformed to God's likeness. And you have to realize that, hey, it's not good just to worry about your material investments. You know what I'm saying? Yes, that's good that you want to make sure you stay in a nice home. You want to drive a vehicle that's excuse me, that's mechanically, good. And you want to make sure that you stay clean, and you invest, whatever you spend your money on, you want to make sure that you get the best product, and you're not spending your money on nothing it's not worth it. You're not going to spend your money on something that's not worth it, right? You want to make sure, and you say to yourself, oh, that's not worth it. Like if something costs too much and you don't think it's worth it, you say, it's not worth it. So you got to think about your spiritual man. It's not good to be worldly. It's not good to do the things of this world. God said that, you have to make sure that you live in this world but not be of this world. See, now it's the time for you to put on that new birth, and you realize that you have to be conscious of things that's not worth it. Are you willing to trade your ticket to get to the kingdom of heaven for some worldly things? Just think about it. Just think about how Jacob and Esau was. We see that Esau, his flesh was hungry, and he ended up selling his birthright for a bowl of stew because his flesh was weak at that time. He gave in to his flesh instead of saying, no, it's not worth it. I am not going to sell you my birthright for a bowl of stew, And see, you have to ask yourself, are you selling your birthright? God said that if you seek the kingdom of heaven first and his righteousness, he said all the things he know you need will be added unto you. But he said in Deuteronomy 28, if you hearken diligently to my voice, all these blessings will fall upon you. He said you will be the head and not the tail. He said you will be above and not beneath. He said you will lend to many nations and borrow nothing. He said you'll be blessed going in the city and blessed coming out. He said you'll be blessed down the field. He said whatever you put your hands to do will prosper and succeed. See, it is our birthright to prosper and succeed. It is our birthright to whatever we put our hands to do will prosper and succeed. It's our birthright to be the head and not the tail, above and not beneath. It's our birthright to lend to many nations and borrow nothing. It's our birthright. And see what happened in the beginning with Adam and Eve. It was their birthright. They didn't know anything about sickness and disease and hard work and labor pains. They didn't know anything about that. They didn't know anything opposite of good. They was just living. They was just being. But what they did was they traded their birthright for some forbidden fruit. They wanted what God told them to stay away from. And at the end, it wasn't worth it because they got kicked out of that part of the garden. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to trade your birthright? Is it worth it? You have to wait upon the Lord, and he will renew your strength. You will mount up with wings as an eagle. You will run and not go weary. You will walk and not faint. God said that he will supply your every need according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. You must trust him. He said that he's going to do a new thing. When it springs forth, he will tell you so. He said, forget the former thing. So if God going to do a new thing and you see that you're still in the same spot, you keep going around and around in a circle and you're not progressing at a certain stage in your life, that means it's something that you're doing that's not worth it. You have to discipline yourself, and whatever you put into something, that's what you're going to get out of it. People keep doing the same thing and keep getting the same result. That means that you got to do a new thing. God is trying to do a new thing, but God say, I can't give you this thing because you still trying to hold on to the old thing. It's not worth it. You have to ask yourself, what are you trading your birthright on? See, some people don't want to wait upon the Lord. They want a quick fix. They want it now. And sometimes people are not satisfied with something that God already blessed them with. God say that, hey, I got a way for you. But God say, you got to go through this. God said you can't get on the 10th step if you haven't been to the through the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. You know, God say you can't go from 1 to 10. But see, a lot of time people don't have patience. The enemy come along and get them a suggestion and try to tempt them, because the enemy is here to kill, steal, and destroy. But you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? You have to watch what you investing in your life, because you're going to get the result of what you put into it. Whatever you put into something, that's what you're going to get out of it. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to make a change? Are you willing to invest good? Are you willing to invest what God tell you to do? Are you willing to obey him? Are you willing to surrender to him 100%? Resist the devil and he will flee. Stop doing things that's not worth it. You have to ask yourself, you have to ask yourself, hey, you know, what changes do I need to make? What do I want in my life? See, what you have to do is you have to make a list, and you have to itemize what you want out of life. And then you have to see what you have to do to get it. You know, if it's anything that's against God's will, then it's not going to work out. You're going to keep going around and around in the same circle and end up at the same spot. You know, it's a lot of people that's broken. It's a lot of people that's depressed. It's because they bring it upon themselves. They keep doing the same thing and getting the same results. But now you have to change your investment. You have to make sure you get in front of the Lord, and you got to discipline yourself. You have to learn how to control yourself, and you have to realize that, hey, it's time to stop exchanging your birthright for a bowl of stew. You got to stop fulfilling your flesh and make sure that you don't give in to the enemy. That's what happened with Jacob and Esau. Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of stew. He gave into his flesh when he could have said, no, it's not worth it. See, when the enemy come with these suggestions, these quick fixes, you have to say, it's not worth it. I'd rather wait upon the Lord so he can renew my strength, so I can mount up with wings as an eagle. I could run and not go weary. I could walk and not faint. Eagles could rise to great altitudes, you know, and they have great eyesight. So if you're ready to rise above your problems, now is the time to watch what you're trading your birthright on. What is you spending your birthright on? Now is the time to make some decision and make some changes in your life and see how you invest in your time, your energy, and the things that God have blessed you with. Make sure if you utilize it right, it will work for you. Remember, you are going to get out of something whatever you put into it. I pray that you enjoyed this message. Until next time, remember, watch what you invest your life and your time in. Praise the Lord, for the Lord is good, and his mercy endureth forever. Until next time, may the peace of God be with you. Peace.